Things. Stage of bliss. We're going to talk about surrendering today. I'm going to go ahead and just post this on Facebook really quick so anyone who wants to join in from that venue can do so. And now it's making me rotate the device. There we go. Well, it's a gorgeous sunny day here in the Pacific Northwest. And I've had quite a few people ask me lately to speak about surrender, and it's a great time to have this conversation. There's been such an energy in the cosmos, if you will, and in so many of our lives that are asking us to do just this. And it often seems that we're not just being asked to surrender, that we're also being asked to do and to produce and to have goals and accomplish things, whilst also performing this act of surrender. So I wanted to talk about, especially from a yogic perspective, from the perspective I have with my years of practicing, because it is a practice. I do believe that surrender is an art form, what exactly that it means. So when you think of surrender, you often think of falling back into someone's arms, falling back into the water, falling back into your bed, or surrendering into the arms of a beloved. Sometimes surrender is thought to mean giving up, like in a scene where it's like, surrender your weapons, and in that case, it feels like sometimes we don't want to surrender, that we don't want to give up, that we want to continue to go. And so I feel a lot of people get resistant to the idea of surrendering, when in truth, to surrender is actually a necessary part of receiving the benefits of our effort, the grace, if you will. It's that part of us that kicks in when we finally have done all that we can do and we just let the rest go into the hands of the unknown. Now, growing up in a Christian background, to me that meant giving it up to God, surrendering in grace. And it can mean that, and sometimes that is helpful if that is your belief structure, to think of it like that. But you can also think of it as knowing that in this society we have placed such a high value on the doing part that we've actually forgotten the essential nature of the being part. That doing is only half the work. If you think of the idea of magnets, there's a positive and a negative pulse. There's a giving and receiving aspect to life and to the universe that allows something to keep happening, keep going around. There's an ebb and a flow. So surrender is just as important as the actions that we put forth. In fact, if we don't ever surrender, we will eventually find ourselves in a stalemate with life and with the universe. We will find that there isn't a thing that we can do. As hard as we try, we just keep digging ourselves into the tunnel or into the grave, so to speak, or into, a state of illness. And actually, in my opinion, illness and even death can be life's way of trying to get us to surrender when we simply will not. So if we will not choose it, in other words, if we will not make the choice to surrender, it's as if life then fabricates an opportunity for us to surrender anyway, without choice. And that's how I often feel when I work, and then I find myself either with an injury or what often looks like a cold or a flu, and I realize, I actually really needed this downtime. I really needed to nurture myself. I really wasn't taking care receiving end of life. So surrender is really an essential component in life. It's essential that we learn the sacred art of surrender. And it really is a sacred art. Sacred in that all of life is sacred, deeper communion with ourselves if we let it. So in working too, we find our strength, very, masculine, sun, dynamic components. These are the very, like life. And then what we've often and all of us had some challenge with is that receptive. That is actually the more feminine planet. We've kind of stomped out or stopped realizing how important this part of reality is as well, and why I feel in all of this coming forth at this time, because of the essential nature that we have to surrender, to kind of give up anymore, or I don't believe it's true anymore, or I'm gonna stop going in that direction, but as part of the doing. Does that make sense? That actually, when we get our cognitive minds and our ego hands out of the thing, then it can actually take off in that momentum that we gave it with our doing. It's like running a car along a track and then going to shove it off of this hill, and then instead of letting it go, instead we keep holding on to it and we try to make it go faster by running, but then we just get exhausted as the cliff, gets deeper. And picture this like a derby car, and you're going to take it off the side, but instead you just walk with it, and you can never, momentum would take it, right? So that place when you would let go of that derby car, you put in the work, you built the car. Built cars for derby, races when we were young, and he and my dad would spend a long time with the wood, carving it and sanding it, and drilling the hole, all the things, right? That's the doing part. That's the thing where we have a vision, we put all the effort in, but then when you take it to the track and you put it out there, this is a great message for myself all the time, and right now as well. So when we put it out there, it's like sending that car off work. We have done all the things, and then it's race day. And that can happen for us again and again in our reality, where we realize, since that I put into this thing, now do something. It's an act of trust in all the doing parts, and also in the universe, or in God, or in the energies that be, in source, in your higher self, whatever it is that you call it. That bigger thing that's also causing, trees to blossom and sun to shine, flowers to grow, and bees to do their thing, that same force picks up when we release. So sometimes we get caught up thinking we're doing it all, or that we have to do it all, or if we don't do something, we're going to not get the thing. Truth is, surrender is an essential component of keeping that circuit going. So when we surrender, we bring a next need to push. It is the receiving. So right now, right hand is your giving hand. Have you ever seen like a statue where it's like this? This is I receive and I give. it's like a hand mudra, and it actually allows this energy to move. So you can take your hands this way and breathe in and feel that. Feel where you have more going out. Or feel where you have more coming in. Maybe you are good at surrender. And allow yourself to receive. And then also feel the part between the two hand gestures of the inside space where you experience that energy in you before it exits again. Even though we are the vessel through which this energy flows, we get to experience it when we receive. We get to experience what that does for our lives, what that does for our energy, how that inspires us. We get to experience that before it's returned back out in motion again. That's part of the enactment of this eternal loop. And some tips that might help you surrender. This hand mudra can be helpful. But also, when you've done all you think you can do and you feel like you've just been doing, I always recommend distracting yourself, helping somebody else get their thing done. Maybe you become the answer to their query, to their need. You become the thing that lets them receive. I always say if you want something, you should give it. And that's something I've heard often too. That if you want to receive, then you should be the one to give also to someone else who's ready to receive. So that you can show that to the universe, you can show that to life, that you're willing to be that part of the circuit. So we're not just giving in our experience, expecting, but not really ever surrendering. Like sometimes we're like, okay, I'm giving it, I'm expecting it, like where is it? But we haven't actually taken the opportunity to receive. Just using the front porch. It's gorgeous. So, you've been doing, and you feel, you sense, maybe that's why you tuned in to this video, now that you feel like it's time to surrender, and maybe you just don't know how. Again, distract yourself, help out. I do have some Yoga Nidra audios on YouTube that are really helpful for me, that are lying down meditation that help you get into that state. Allow you to receive. The yogic pose of Shavasana, where you're just laying like a corpse on the ground, is a surrender pose, child's pose. Mantra meditation, where you're repeating a mantra, can help disconnect your mind from the need to go and get you into that state. Visiting the ocean, making a fire. These are all things that can help. Having sex, eating some really good food and really enjoying it. These help us get off the track of the mind where we need to just go and get us in that place of surrender. So I hope that's been helpful for you today. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy it wherever it is, and we'll talk to you next time.